Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Title with Emerald Coast Title Services. I'm host and president of ECTS, Dion Moniz, and
I'm Ashley Bowen, the director of operations, and I'm a licensed title agent.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about the new condo law that recently went into effect regarding milestone inspections. This has been a hot topic lately, and I think it's impacting the condo world.
It is going to, I think it's starting to, and it's going to continue for over the next several years. This is a hot topic, I think. Let's get down and dirty.
Yeah.
So this legislation was passed May 26th of 2022. After speaking with attorneys and an engineer that was on the board when they were making these changes, there will probably be some more changes.
Yeah.
But all laws.
Some tweaks.
Yeah. And I think that always happens with laws. That's why you have amendments to your Constitution, because things change.
Right. And when you make a law, you might think it's going to be executed differently than reality. And so it needs to be in place for a little while and then
tweak it as
a little
needed.
bit. Yeah. So obviously the new law involves milestone inspections and reserves. But first, let's talk in general how reserves work for a condo.
Okay. So you typically pay an assessment fee, either monthly or quarterly, maybe even yearly, that are going to cover your basic assessments. And what is that?
Maintenance.
Your general maintenance. Sometimes it includes a few utilities. And then general maintenance, it's probably paying for the salaries of your landscaping people and your manager.
Yeah. Upkeep of the common areas, maintenance of the building, that kind of stuff.
But then there are some additional assessments sometimes for if the condo needs to be repainted or new stuccos or the parking lot needs to be repaved.
That's a special assessment.
And then we have special assessments that come down the line. We've seen several after Hurricane Michael. There's been a lot of special assessments in the area of condos that needed to have money for the insurance deposit, or if they needed to make any fix the roof or whatever after the hurricane. So that was a special assessment outside of the normal assessment for a certain bill that needs to be paid. Yeah,
that's generally a one-time assessment that gets assessed at once, and the owners have to pay it typically all at once. I guess it can be spread out.
Sometimes they spread it out. The association will go and get a loan to cover a new roof, and then you can pay it in full, and sometimes they'll give you a discount if you pay it in full, or you can pay it over the next year and to pay off that loan that the association just had to take out.
Yep. So, and I guess before we get too far ahead, in most basic terms, a condo unit owner is responsible for the walls in. So essentially from windows out is on the association.
Common area.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sheetrock in is on the owner, and everything behind the sheetrock out is on the association as far as maintenance of the unit itself. And then obviously the common areas, which are pools and gyms and all that kind of stuff, is shared by the owners, and that's also responsibility of the association. But the unit itself, so if something happens to the exterior wall or the railings, the roof, stuff like that,
your association.
That all falls on the association, which is where the assessments come in.
But if your refrigerator breaks, or you damage a hole inside of your unit, that's up to the unit owner.
Correct.
To fix.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, the owners are still paying. It's just whether it's through assessments or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's going to actually make the phone call?
Yeah.
Will be the CAM or you if it's inside of your unit.
Yeah, exactly. So in the past, a lot of condos would have reserves for the larger ticket items, like repainting the exterior, roofing, stuff like that. And anything over $10,000 would typically be a reserve item. In the past, the owners could waive that. They could have a meeting and they could vote to waive those reserves for those special items. But that's all changed.
And that's when you would get a special assessment. The only reason you did is because you didn't have it in reserves.
Yes, exactly.
So, I know when my parents were looking at condos to buy, that was something that we were very adamant about, is that the condo was financially stable.
Yes.
and did fund all of their reserves.
So and that's a great point, actually. If you're looking to buy a condo, it's really good to go in and analyze the financials to see if they have healthy reserves. If they don't,
then you know that you're going to have
at some point you're going to get hit with a special assessment.
Because you know something is going to happen.
Right. So obviously some condos or associations are a little more responsible in planning for the unknown and having those reserves set aside so that it's not a big hit to the owners via special assessment.
In June 2021, there was this Surfside condo in South Florida that collapsed.
Yep.
And so that is when all of these changes started taking place, because that condo collapsed. Historically in Miami, Miami-Dade County, they do have building inspections that they're supposed to have. All these old buildings or condos are supposed to be inspected at age 40, I think.
Every 40 years. Yep.
And so this condo was a part of that. Like, it was supposed to be inspected every 40 years. And so I don't know if it wasn't inspected or if it was, and they found all these problems, but nobody fixed it. Nobody had the funds to fix what was wrong.
Yeah. And I think that was the problem or the difference, because after Surfside collapsed, the legislature, when they convened for session in 22, said, hey, how do we fix this? And it's not just requiring the inspections, because that was already in place for Miami.
Right.
It was requiring the inspections and requiring there to be money set aside to cover whatever repairs or maintenance are necessary to avoid another Surfside issue.
Let's get it fixed now before it collapses.
Yeah. But apparently, regular session, they couldn't get it figured out, so they had to come back for a special session in May. And then in May 26 is when they came out with Senate Bill 4D 2022. And so we're going to get into that and tell you what it's about. It's got two parts.
I read the darn bill and we'll put you to sleep. I mean, it's just...
Most bills will.
Okay, I'm like, whew. Because it tells you what all it's doing, what's all it's laying reading out. And it's like, okay, well, you're telling me what you're going to lay out. Now, lay it out. It does, even the bill itself feels like it's still a work in progress. Yeah.
And like we said earlier, there'll probably be some tweaks to it, but at least for now, no, there are two main parts to the bill. There's the milestone inspections, and then there's the structural integrity reserve items, or SIRS. So we'll talk about milestone inspections first.
Yeah, so it's every condo that is 3 stories or higher.
Right.
And then, so basically every condo, you know?
Yep.
And then there are 2 different criteria after that. It is if it's built within 3 miles of the coastal control line, then you have to have that initial phase 1 inspection done when the condo reaches age 25.
Right.
And if it's outside of 3 miles of the coastal control construction line, then it's every 30. Oh, it's the 30 years when it reaches age 30, and then they have to have
follow-up inspections every 10 years after that.
Okay.
So it's either at age 25 and then every 10 years, or at age 30 and every 10 years, depending on the distance, that 3-mile radius. So obviously, if the first inspection is done, first milestone inspection, and nothing comes up, then you're good for 10 years. However, if there are findings of that milestone inspection, then you're now required to get a follow-up study by an engineer and actually send a report to the owners and the local, county or the city. Yeah,
the local building authority. So this Florida law, the state law, they don't have a set of police officers to govern it, to make sure that it's being properly handled out. So they're giving the responsibility to the building departments. And so Okaloosa County, I think if it was on Okaloosa Island, Okaloosa County is going to be your contact person.
Yeah.
But then if it's within the city of Destin, then it goes, the city of Destin building department will be the ones who are kind of in charge, the police of that.
Yeah, making sure those, and I'm sorry, I said follow-up inspection is required. Not a follow-up inspection, just a report. A written report has to be rendered and then provided. And then, so then the city or the county is going to watch that and make sure the repairs are actually done. Because now, if the report shows the repairs need to be done, and primarily it's for structural items, but they've said as the second part of the law, which is the SIRS part, you can no longer waive those reserves. You have to have reserves in place for the following items. And it's a long list, so I had to write it down. But it's for the roof, load-bearing walls, or other primary structural members, floor, foundation, fireproofing and protection systems, waterproofing, windows, electrical, exterior painting, which I thought was an interesting one to be on there, and anything else that affects the structure over $10,000.
So basically, you have to fund
Yeah, you gotta have
everything.
reserves. Yeah,
A foundation, a roof, exterior painting, which is stucco, if it was a stucco condo. You have to have fully funded, or it's not fully funded. It has to be fully funded by the time it needs to be replaced. So if you get your 30-year or your 25-year inspection and they say this roof has 6 more years on it, well, then you have 6 years to put in your reserves $200,000 or however much that roof is going to cost. So the reason that at the beginning of this conversation, I said that this was going to kind of change real estate for us in the next several years is because there are going to be people who own condos who can't afford the assessments that are going to have to sell.
Yep.
And they're going to sell it at a discounted price because those buyers that buy it are going to know that they're about to owe a bunch of special assessments.
Exactly.
So I can see like all of those old condo owners are going to go away. We're going to have all new condo owners and all the 1980s, 1990s interiors will go out the door and they'll all be fresh and new.
I mean, yeah, that's a valid point. So, and I'd be curious to look in our area and see which condos are approaching that 25-year mark, because they're all within 3 miles of the coast here.
Well, in Destin, I mean, our city was founded, we started becoming a city in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in the 80s, a lot of these condos were being built. So I think we're getting there.
Yeah.
Probably all of our condos are going to come up in the same 5 years.
Yeah, right. So there's going to be some rude awakenings, I'm afraid, for some of these owners. And to your point, the ones that can't pay are just going to put it on the market and get rid of it.
And some buyers are going to, I think, get some really good deals, knowing that they're going to have the special assessment come through. But you're going to have to be a buyer who not only can afford the condo now, but you're going to know that, within the next couple of years, you're going to have to probably put in another $20,000 or $30,000.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're buying into a condo that's already showing issues, chances are there's going to be more issues down the road. So,
and as lenders, because this is a new law, this law is not even a year old yet,
right.
And the lenders, the dates haven't hit yet. I think December of this year is the first set of all of those condos that are older than 25 or 30 years. If they already were of age, then they had to have their first report done by December of 2023, so at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So we're going to start seeing that. But I don't think that all the lenders are aware of these reserve requirements just yet. And as all of that happens, I think it's going to be harder for lenders to lend on these condos too.
Well, and there's going to be a lot of association loans. I do that on the law firm side. Well, I'll draft all the loan docs for the association loans that are funding the special assessments. So we're going to see a lot of that.
Any lenders out there who can lend to associations, you need to start calling all of your association friends.
Yeah, it's going to be good business for association loans.
It certainly will be.
So yeah, very interesting. It's a good time to be a structural engineer. They're going to be busy, for a while.
And in 2021, it was a good time to be an appraiser.
Right, exactly. But I think we've covered everything with regards to the Senate Bill 4D 2022. I don't know if they actually came up with a nickname for it or not, but we're going to call it the milestone legislation. But very important stuff. So now for purposes of educating your clients that are looking to purchase condos.
And if you want to dive into this a little bit more, contact me, because we were able to put on a panel last year for ECAR with John Townsend from our law firm. I had an engineer, an accountant, and an insurance provider, and they gave excellent information. And if you have questions I can't answer, I can get one of them to answer it for you.
That's right. Yep.
Please be sure to reach out if you have any questions.
Yeah, we've got a whole association department that can help with that stuff. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for today. So we appreciate you watching or listening to us. And be sure to check us out on social media. And in the meantime, we will see you later. Bye-bye.